Tired of losing yourself trying to earn someone else's sympathy? Even if there are no friends left, I stop participating in my own suffering and become my most loyal companion. Next are specific steps that change this state. Imagine this. You're lying at night with your phone in hand, replaying a dialogue that you can't redo. You remember every word, every pause, and in your mind, a list grows of what I should have done differently. This is a familiar trap, when external evaluations privately dictate your mood. The emotional swings from a burst of approval to a drop from silence steal time, energy, and confidence. The problem isn't that you don't have people around. The problem is the habit of making others the judges of your worth. You waste resources trying to win the favor of those who may not appreciate your efforts. And as a result, you live by their rules. This is incompatible with being on your own side. When you're ready to fight against yourself for approval, you've already lost your own life. By the end of this scene, you won't just feel relief. You'll receive a practical roadmap. What to say to yourself in moments of doubt. What boundaries to set so as not to lose people inhumanely. And what first gesture of self-support will give immediate tension relief. I won't philosophize. There will be specific actions and real explanations for why they work. Now, when decisions about our worth are increasingly made in 2 clicks, the ability to stay on your own side has become a survival skill. The constant flow of other people's opinions, likes, and random comments makes us dependent on external feedback. We learn to measure our worth not by actions, but by the reactions of others. This depletes us, shakes our internal foundation, and turns every conflict into a personal crisis. Why is this important right now? Because emotional exchange has accelerated and become coarser. Boundaries are blurred, expectations are growing, and the cost of dissatisfaction comes in the form of lost sleep, concentration, and motivation. If you do not learn to stop and readjust your internal assessment, you will inevitably return to the same scenes, those sleepless nights, the attempts to redo what cannot be redone, the pointless race for approval. Losing energy today means losing opportunities tomorrow. What will you gain by watching this video to the end? A clear understanding of the mechanics of your suffering, simple mental rules that can be applied immediately, and the first set of practices for specific situations, from experiencing conflict to the days when you want to hide from people. First, we will examine why you get caught up in this pattern and what mechanisms support it. Then, we will move on to practical steps that can be integrated into daily life. And finally, we will consolidate a new position, the position in which you are on your own side. One important thesis that you haven't heard in the hook: self-compassion is a skill, not a whim or a side effect of comfort. It can be trained through small, unpretentious decisions, telling yourself the truth without blame, lowering the stakes in situations where there's nothing to prove, and granting yourself the right to an emotional pause. This skill returns energy, because instead of endlessly restructuring to meet others' expectations, you begin to manage your internal reactions. This video will not contain empty inspiration. It will provide practical logic that will help you change the habit of suffering for others' approval. Why we turn other people's silence into a verdict. The mechanism is simple and cruel. The brain is wired to recognize whether you belong to your group or not. In ancient times, this meant life or death. Now it means alike, a reply to a message or an invitation to meet. When the signal is not what we expect, quick emotional evaluation kicks in. Not the fact, but the meaning. Not the information, but the diagnosis. We read guilt, inadequacy, and error into someone else's silence. The emotion grows not from real harm, but from the interpretation we turned into a fact. 3 thinking habits underpin this, which almost everyone is familiar with, but few notice in the moment of their operation. First, the ability to hypothesize is replaced by the ability to blame. The thought, "he is probably unhappy with me," turns into, "he is unhappy with me," and shuts down further dialogue. Second, overestimating control. We believe that if we convince, explain, or apologize 3 times, we will regain control over someone else's reaction. Third, emotional economy through external validation. Instead of evaluating our actions ourselves, we ask the audience to pass judgment. Instead of an internal assessment, an external regulator emerges, constantly changing our mood. A typical mistake, the strategy of gaining favor. This is evident in every "I will say this to change his opinion," in every post written with the expectation, if they see, they will understand and approve. At the behavioral level, this manifests as excessive explanations, the desire to please at the cost of one's own principles, attempts to anticipate and satisfy expectations that no one explicitly expressed. Often the internal dialogue goes, "If he doesn't love me, then I must have done something wrong." This is the trap of self-referential logic. The goal is not to be happy, but not to lose love. As a result, you build your life around someone else's spectrum of emotions and pay for it with your internal stability. A new perspective that truly restructures the situation, the model of 3 scales. This is not a technique from the practical section, but a way to look at an event anew, so that the emotion does not become a verdict. The first scale, importance. Stakes. How real the event changes your life. Often silence is a loud sound for a low stake. The second scale, influence. Agency. What you can actually do in this situation and what you cannot. Most suffering arises where agency is minimal and emotions are maximal. The third scale, evidentiality. How many facts you have and how many assumptions. When you separate facts from narratives, the intensity of suffering diminishes on its own. A mini situation. You are waiting for a reply from a colleague on a proposal. The reply does not come, and in your mind, a series plays out for nothing. He ignored me, so I am a bad worker. In the old logic, you begin to write additional messages, justify the time invested, apologize for things you didn't do. In the new logic, you mentally ask 3 questions. How important is this for my work right now? Can I influence the situation with my actions? What facts do I actually have? The answers usually cool down the fervor. The importance turns out to be low. The influence limited. The facts few. The result? Fewer impulsive messages and less burnout. Another example from personal life. Your partner responds briefly, and you take it as rejection. Internal dialogue. He has distanced himself. I am not needed. At that same moment, the model of 3 scales helps to restructure the interpretation. Perhaps your partner had a tiring day, low importance for the relationship in the long term. Perhaps you can clarify without dramatizing, agency. Perhaps you have no evidence of intentional rejection, evidentiality. This is not cold calculation. It is protection against emotional escalation. A separate common mistake, striving to be understood as a way to earn love. People spend energy on explanations, believing that this will change someone else's assessment. But explanations more often confirm your uncertainty rather than alleviate it. You demonstrate that without external evaluation, you cannot feel whole. The breakthrough is to see. Explanations are useful when they serve a purpose, not when they serve to reduce inner anxiety. The consequence of such rethinking is not a magical disappearance of problems, but a different trajectory of experiencing. Instead of nightly reviews and attempts to manage all reactions, you start investing energy where it really changes the outcome. You react less to empty signals and notice real problems that require conversation rather than self-blame more quickly. The inner voice changes tone. Here's a hypothesis I'll test, instead of, I'm condemned. This doesn't mean you stop caring about people. On the contrary, you free up space for care to be conscious rather than panicked. The practical part consists of 5 simple and actionable steps that you can start today. No philosophy, just specifics. First, micro-habit. Whenever you feel I have been rejected, pause for 3 seconds, take a deep breath, and say aloud a short phrase. I am on my side. It takes less than a minute and shifts the neural loop of emotion accountability. Repeat it 3 times throughout the day to reinforce the automatic reaction. Next, one question to yourself. When anxiety arises from someone else's reaction, ask yourself 3 quick questions aloud. How important is this for my life right now? What can I realistically do right now? What facts do I have against assumptions? Answer each question with 1 word. This turns drama into a task. Then, action for the day. At the end of each workday, write down 3 lines. What I did well, what I controlled today, even small things, and 1 small action for tomorrow that depends solely on me. This shifts the focus from others' reactions to my own steps. Separately, how to notice progress. Keep a simple tracking journal. Mark the days when you didn't send an additional message after silence, or when you responded to the 3 questions instead of emotions. After 2 weeks, count the marks. You will see objective growth in resilience. This replaces the subjective seems better with real numbers. How not to fall off track and quit. A plan for setbacks. First, relieve pressure. 5 minutes of breathing and writing your thoughts uncensored. Then, write yourself a compassionate sentence from a third-person perspective, as if speaking to a friend. Finally, commit to not taking emotional actions for 48 hours. If you crave support, signal a reliable person. Text me, "Are you okay?" and agree on this in advance. Such steps remove shame and provide a constructive option instead of impulsiveness. These points are compatible with each other. The micro-reaction reduces intensity. The question shifts to logic. The daily action sets the course. The journal captures results. And the setback plan makes behavior predictable and safe. Start with 1 step and add the others when it becomes automatic. Being on your side is not self-justification or escapism. It is the ability to manage your attention and energy so that they work for your life, not for someone else's judgments. Reducing suffering is achieved not by rejecting relationships, but by changing responses. Fewer panicked explanations. More clear questions and small actions that restore control. Change happens through the repetition of simple rules, not through emotional jags. It is the micro-habits and objective metrics that maintain resilience during crises. The meaningful lines of this video converge on 1 demand: to make yourself your main ally. When you stop waiting for verdicts from outside, energy is freed for real steps, and relationships cease to be a script of torment. It is not about aloofness, it is about awareness and protecting your resources. Start with a simple commitment to yourself, to respond to internal prods not with panic, but with one practice from the previous chapter. Over time, you'll notice that nighttime anxieties become less frequent. Decisions are made faster, and your loved ones receive more clarity from you instead of anxiety. This gradually changes the quality of life. Fewer dramas, more doing. If this video was helpful to you, subscribe so you don't miss the next day.